modern technology to directly connect with clients so you never get lost in the clutter like other platforms. With a simple tab or scan, you can immediately share contact information. The Success Card also allows you to share what you do best on the Is the City platform. Personalize your profile, add videos and galleries, products and services, post your deals and events, get discounts on services tailored to entrepreneurs, and more. Use a platform that is designed for small businesses. Success is just a tap away. Order now. Replace your business card with an Is the City Success Card. This card uses
Let me work you up, baby girl, watch you whine.
I can hear you.
Okay, we're good now. All right, so we're back. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, so seemed like we didn't have any sound out in social media land, but what I wanted to say is welcome Todd Simmons. He is the CEO and founder of Courageous Leadership Alliance. He is a retired Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force. However, he served in the capacity of the highest capacity, where we respect as enlisted members as the chief advisor for enlisted matters to installation commanders as well as leaders in the Air Force. He has since retired with 25 years of experience, and his current mission and vision is to basically build a society of courageous leaders. And courageous leaders is one of those things that me, as a living, breathing, still serving active duty member, I practice and preach, and I inspire individuals to be courageous leaders. So I'm not going to bore you guys and talk you guys to death on his accolades and his bio. Just want to say, welcome, Mr. Simmons. How are you doing? I know you're out on a business trip, so we're not going to keep you long tonight, but I definitely want to hit a couple points, and I want to make sure that we inspire and capture what you do and what your vision is so that we can inspire individuals and capture your vision and mission so that we can get individuals to get to that next level of whatever it is that they pursue and dream. So how are you doing out there in Alabama?
No, I'm doing great, man. I'm out here about to head back. So retired, and I moved up to DC. So I live in DC, and I'm back down here. So I don't want anybody to mistake that I live back down here. So So no, I'm down here for 2 days and I'm heading back home. But no, things are going well. I can't complain. Post retirement has been well, been good. It's always that next chapter, right? So that first chapter is the first chapter. That next chapter should be just as good or even better than your first. So I'm doing well, man. Good to see you. Hope all is well. Last time I think I saw you, you were DJing at the club in Edward, out there, me as the command chief, and you in my office, and I'm looking at you. Who's this guy in my office trying, all the priorities of a 14,000 person wing? You worried about how many people on the dance floor at the club on Friday night. So I think that's probably the last time I saw you in my office trying to figure out how me as the command chief gonna make everybody in the dorms come out to the club. So hey, I appreciate your enthusiasm and your tenacity. But to be honest, that was probably like number 40,000 on my list.
So, no, why I sat down with you, and you know what? We gonna table this conversation. Let me explain something to y'all. So when I made Master Sergeant, I was told, and that's the E7 for anybody that's not in the Air Force, but it's a senior enlisted officer, a leader, a strategic leader. So when I first made Master, it was heavily advised to me that I go sit down with my command chief and get the expectations of a senior CO from my command chief. And I will be the first to tell you, if nobody else told you, you are the reason I promoted to senior master sergeant. And the reason why is because the information, the knowledge that you provided to me during that meeting alongside of the DJing, I actually took that to heart, and I created my own strategic map and strategic plan to grow and develop myself as a senior NCO. So I really appreciate that. And today's interview is more special because you're still embodying and living that mindset, or you're still exercising that mindset of a command chief, but you transition from civilian to from the military to civilian world, and you are finding ways to tap into what it is that individuals need to do to become courageous leaders in and outside of the military. So not alongside of the DJing. And the reason why, DJing, people, I think the military, I'm going to say it, I think the military disrespects military DJs all day long because we provide morale when morale is not morale.
Hey, look, I was just messing with you, man. You know what? Before you actually brought back something to Edwards, man. So I give you credit. Not only did you come in, is what I tell everybody. Don't come tell me. You go do it, right? You don't need me. You're senior NCO, and you did. You guys had a couple of things over at the rec center. We cleared a couple of barriers for you, and you got it done, right?
So and I had fun, and I tell everybody to this day, Edwards is the base that grew me. And the reason why it grew me is because when I got there, I was a tech sergeant, senior ranking member in the squadron, a brand new squadron. I didn't know where I was coming and going and how to come and go. And I literally had to buckle down and figure out how to become what I consider myself as a corporate leader, not a strategic leader, but a corporate leader, because I feel like the Air Force is becoming more of a corporation, and to understand corporate leadership and be able to speak a common language, not just logistics or specific career field language, was bar none and very important to survive at Edwards. And I tell everybody every day, if you get a chance if you go to Edwards, don't look at it as the location, look at it as the mental experience and the mental growth and development that you get out of that particular location. So hats off to you. I appreciate you. You didn't stay there long, but when you left, you did. You found a way to continue the vision and mindset with Chief Jones. We definitely appreciated him, and we appreciated his energy and his fire to continue to motivate and inspire us. So, but what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and get into this dope conversation. We got 25 minutes to get some really good nuggets out of you today.
All right.
So I got 2 mandatory questions. I told you I got 2 mandatory questions. We're gonna go through this interview, and we might tap into some other things. But the first question, always, because I want people to understand who I'm interviewing, why I'm interviewing them, and I want people to at least hear what you're saying so they can connect to your purpose and probably ignite something in them that they don't have. So, first question. everybody has a foundation. What is your foundation, and how did it shape you to become the person today?
You're right, man. So I mean, that's a good question. Honestly, you sent me those questions like a couple of days ago, and I looked at them probably about 35 seconds ago before we logged on. So, so everybody does have a foundation. Yeah, and if you ask me what my foundation is, I thought about that when I read your questions, and I mean, for me, it's always been the same, right? Persistence, right? Commitment and persistence, and the word commitment, can be taken about 1,000 different ways, but I'm just persistent, man. Not everything has always been easy. Not everything always been clear. Not every barrier has been right there to be easily leaped over. But my foundation is there's nothing that I believe that I can achieve if I just work hard enough to do it. So I'm persistent at it. I'll fail at something 5 times and until I get it right. So, foundation for me is if you can dream it, you just go do it. And if you fail at it, then get back up and try it a different way. And if you fail at it again, you get back up and you try a different way. So I don't view things out of my reach. I don't believe that there are things out of my reach. I believe that I can achieve it if I work hard enough to do it. So that's just, it's an ethic. It's a work ethic that's been built in me from my mom, generations, of my family. You get up and you work for what you want. And you don't make excuses, and you know up front that there's challenges. You know up front that there may be people holding your collar back. You know up front that there may be someone that's literally pushing you from the front, keeping you back. But that doesn't matter, man. You just keep moving forward. It might not be big steps. It might be small steps. It might be skips. It might be hops. So persistence is my foundation.
Wow. Okay. And to be honest with you, this is the first time somebody is not went spiritual with their foundation. And persistence is one of those things where and it makes sense. It makes total sense that persistence will be someone's foundation. Like me, like I tell everybody, my foundation and my drive is my dad and my grandfather. My I inspired to be like both of those individuals because of what they projected in the atmosphere, the energy they projected, in the presence and the attention they commanded when they walked into a room. I wanted to be nothing like. I wanted to be absolutely everything like them. How they dressed, walked, and talked. And I even took that mindset into the military, which was when you walk in a room, not alone, it's outside of your presence, but the knowledge and how you present yourself is very important to where people will want to follow you because you have something to say, but you can back up everything you say. So that makes total sense where it comes to persistence because the military along the lines has taught me persistence. It's also taught me a level of resilience. Not way before the resiliency program came along the line, I learned resiliency as a child, but even inside the military because I'm 18 years in, so I spent 15 years out of my 18 years bouncing back and fighting perceptions and stereotypes. So I can definitely get that. And then being persistent and consistent was one of the things that I had to tell myself when I woke up every morning that, I still have conversations with myself. People may think I'm crazy, but the best thing about being persistent is identifying who you are, why you are, and where you're trying to go, so that you have an internal strategic map to be persistent in whatever it is that goal that you're trying to set. So that makes total sense. So, okay, so outside of persistence, you spent 25 years in the military. I'm pretty sure you probably had a dream job. And if that dream job was in the military, what was that dream job, and are you pursuing that now?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, a lot of us join the military for all kinds of reasons, right? And everybody's journey in the Air Force is different, or whatever service you're in. Even if you don't even join the military, your journey in life is different. I came in the Air Force and I didn't care what job they gave me. I just needed to be in something different. So my dream job wasn't to be in security forces, which is something I ended up loving throughout, being 20 years as a cop. But that was not my dream job, or even at 18 years old, something I desired or wanted, but the opportunity to leave my situation was greater than what I thought I wanted to do at that moment. So growing up in the Air Force, I didn't have a big dream job, to be honest with you. I had a lot of great opportunities. I had a lot of things I enjoyed doing. But there was a point, probably about, I don't know, 8, 9 years in the Air Force, but I had a desire in my first enlistment. Once I had some things transpired in my life, I kind of, I did not have a strong education background. I literally failed 4th grade, 9th grade, and dropped out of high school for a little bit. Wow. So for me to end this, leave the education in the Air Force, that's a whole nother story. But for me, when I learned, and when I, gotta listen to when I learned how to learn, it became addictive to me. So I didn't read my first book till I was 20 years old. I had to relearn some high school things before I went to college at 20 years old. So for me, my dream job was always been teaching and developing, all the way back to me being a senior airman staff sergeant. So I would say my dream job was that. So when I was a tech sergeant, I got an opportunity to teach college. So I've been teaching college for 16, going on 15 and a half years now. Ever since I've been a tech sergeant, I've been teaching college, started out in a junior college teaching criminal justice. So if there's a dream job, my dream job was to have the opportunity to be good at the Air Force and an opportunity to be good at what I was passionate about, which 15 years ago I hoped to achieve when I got out of the Air Force.
Okay.
So I tell people I always had one foot in that was committed, and I always had one foot out that was just as committed. So there was no loyalty test there, right? I was a pretty good person in the Air Force. I did what I needed to do. I took care of people. I got promoted and all of those things. But I also always been passionate about who Todd Simmons is. That's why sitting here today, 10 months after retirement, I'm okay with not being called a chief. Because, I've always had a desire for 15 years. For many nights, I used to go teach college at different universities. And when I showed up to that university and took my uniform off and put a button-up shirt on, they wasn't looking at Master Sergeant Simmons, Senior Master Sergeant Simmons. They were looking at their professor, Todd Simmons. So I've always had a comfort level in the military with who I was, not who I was as a human, Todd Simmons, and not who I was as a senior NCO or a chief or whatever, because those two things were completely different. So my dream job is just being able to have the opportunity to do what I was passionate about. And if you can be passionate about who you are, be passionate about the things that you do in that uniform, and be passionate about the things that you hope to do outside of that uniform at the same time, then that's the dream you should be trying to achieve.
And you mentioned some things in what you were stating as far as not being called Todd Simmons. I mean Chief Simmons, being preferred to be called Todd Simmons. It's funny because shout out to Shadon McFall, aka Mo, for bridging this. But when me and her talked, she was like, "Don't call him Chief." I was like, "But that's Chief to me. It's other chiefs that retire, they still accept the name Chief." But I also know one chief in particular, Pete Smith, who's a law planner, retired law planner. He told me to call him Pete, and I never understood, and still trying to understand. Well, actually, now I'm understanding after talking to Shadano why separating yourself is important, because now you're into that next chapter.
Yeah, it can be bigger than that, right? It's not that I don't accept. Now, I have a former person that actually is my good friend. We're like super good friends. I mean, but he got out of the Air Force as a staff sergeant when I was a master sergeant. And even to this day, that was like 10, 13 years ago. Who knows how long? He still called me Sergeant Simmons. And that's okay. It almost becomes like a nickname, right? But we ain't got we just friends. It's not that I don't accept people who call me chief. I don't ever tell anybody you can't. That's fine. You can call, but what I want you to realize, what I'm saying in that statement is I don't want you to have a barrier between us being genuine.
Oh,
right?
That's deep.
That's all I'm saying. If you prefer to call me chief, you can call me chief all day. What I'm saying is I'm letting you know that there is no barrier. The same way that you walked into my office when I was a command chief, you were a master sergeant, even though I'm like, hey, tell me what you got. There's a perceived barrier there, right?
Yep.
You know, there's a perceived, because there's some decorum and there's some order, there's some all of this, and you've got a little reservation about what you're going to say to me. I don't want you to have any of that. There's no need for you to think of me as that command chief walking into your office and this is my command chief. Yeah, man, that was a great time. I want you to be kin. I want you to come to me now. If you need me now, that relationship should, we were honest and transparent with each other. But all of that decorum and stuff that come along with that doesn't exist. So you shouldn't have to second guess what you're going to say to me, right?
That makes sense.
Even if it's tough.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So let's talk about your current mission. What is that about? And what is your ultimate goal with your new, well, it's not a new, it's your continued, but on a different level. What is the ultimate goal with that?
Um, there's no real ultimate goal. So when you're growing something and you're developing something, you're always changing, right? You're always looking for new opportunities to be better. So I've changed the way my business has operated 3 times in the last 10 months.
Okay.
So my ultimate goal is to continue to grow, to bring opportunities for other people, to continue to bring credibility. This is me. I don't do a lot of public speaking anymore. I used to do a lot of public speaking, and I still do a lot of virtual events and stuff. But my goal now is to create opportunities, not only for people that are enlisted, but that's kind of my primary goal. We retire, and sometimes we think that there is a ceiling for us, and there's not. So I made conscious choices when I retired, and I started a company that does leadership development, all of these different training mechanisms to not just target the military. I was well known in the military. I could have just targeted the military audience, and that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to really see if, like, it goes back to what I just said, why I want you to call me Todd, right? I don't want you to need me for something because I was a command chief, or I really want to go out there and see how good I am. So we went out there and we pursued organizations that were large corporate organizations. We pursued large Fortune 500 companies, and we got into some of them. So that's the credibility piece of going, we can do these things and not just rely on who we were, but rather than making ourselves better every day to be somebody we can elevate the game. So what is my ultimate goal? Keep growing, keep doing things that I'm passionate and purposeful about. I work with nonprofits now, sit on some boards with nonprofits. Education is always going to be my number one thing that I'm passionate about.
Right.
Is giving people access to education to show how it can change your mind, change your perspective, change your life. We talk about somebody who learned how to learn at 20, 21 years old, learn how to read at 20 years old on an adult level. Let me tell you this. I was just talking to some Air Force recruiters just 2 hours ago, virtually. And I told these Air Force recruiters, if it wasn't for my recruiter, I wouldn't be in the Air Force. That's a lot of people's story. But people don't realize that you can fail the ASVAB. I'm one of those people. I did not score high enough to come into the service on my first ASVAB attempt.
Wow.
When I say the service, I mean no service. And my recruiter worked with me and studied, and then I scored high enough to come into the Air Force. But the score I scored in 1993, if you look at my ASVAB score today, they don't even let airmen in the Air Force at my ASVAB score.
I'm not laughing at you.
No, it's
funny.
Think about that. Think about that for a second. What I scored in 1993 on the ASVAB, you can't even enter the United States Air Force in 2020. But I was given an opportunity, and I was given an opportunity to grow. I was given an opportunity to develop. And then I ended with the same ASVAB score. I never retook the ASVAB in the Air Force. So 25 years later, my ASVAB score is still low. But I end running education for the Air Force. So.
And that says a lot. The reason why it says a lot is because for me, my journey in entering in the Air Force, I'm not going to say that I definitely can't compare it to yours, but my journey entering the Air Force was a troubled, the premise was behind troubled activity. I got in trouble, plain and simple. And my mom was like, "Yeah, we're not going to do this. You're on a path to death or life in jail. That was my path. So when I joined, um, again, back to foundation. My father and my grandfather, the mentality they bred into me, I took that and ran with it. And 18 years later, not wanting to go. I'm out of four kids, out of my mom's four kids, I'm the youngest. All of my sisters has a minimum of a master's degree and master's certification, all the way up to a doctorate. I am the only one with just a bachelor's degree. Because one, I hate school. I hate. I'm not saying I hate learning, because learning was one of those things that we're all passionate about. But I just hate the traditional path of being credentialed as an educator. And what you're telling me is you took the unconventional path to be an educator. You took the non-traditional path, which again, this platform is about individuals who took the non-traditional path to be successful, not following the check mark, not checking blocks off. Other than of course, with the military, we checked a couple of blocks off to hit certain milestones in our career. But as far as you're stepping into your ultimate path, you took the non-traditional path. And a lot of people out here get so suckered into or get talked out of pursuing dreams because they get forced into traditionalism. And that, in a nutshell, to me, I think it hurts individuals to grow and develop themselves and to touch into those untapped skill sets that they have, because they're being forced to be conservative or safe. And in the military, one of the things that Chief Wright has inspired prior to his exit, and then even with the current Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force, is that be you, but be you from a professional standpoint. Because you need people to understand that airmen are also human, not just airmen. And again, Chief Wright inspired people. I don't think he probably does, but from a person who literally can say this, Chief Wright inspired me to be just me, unapologetically, but from an airman standpoint. The Air Force wants you to be an airman, but the Air Force also wants you to put you on top of that airman. And hats off to you for even expressing the fact that you decided to learn. You didn't really learn as an adult until after 20, when we're judged at 16, 17, 18 for not learning like adults, or 19 because we're transitioning to college. So that's huge. And if anybody's listening to this, you need to understand that it doesn't matter how you get to where you're going. It matters what you did in the process, and also your passion and drive to get there. You don't have to go the most stringent path. You can go the most divergent path, for lack of better words. So I know we got about 10 more minutes, and I got to ask two questions. So you were a command chief. And again, for people who don't know what a command chief is, or a chief master sergeant in the Air Force, it's the highest rank of an enlisted member in the Air Force. But you also served as a command chief, which is also the highest rank, well, maybe not the highest ranking, but the enlisted advisor to the base commander. But to some, such as myself, you were considered hope and motivation. What do you see inside and outside of the military at this point that holds people back from tapping into their full potential?
Man, that's a big loaded question, Ken. I mean, it's a lot of things, man. We can be here for the next 3 hours talking about that, but a lot of it is fear, right? And it's fear and conditioning is a lot. It doesn't matter inside of the Air Force. If you believe you're not supposed to be at the table, then you're going to talk yourself out of not being at the table. If you believe that you should own the furniture store and sell the chairs and the table to them, then you're going to put yourself in that position to own the furniture store and sell the furniture back to them. It's a mindset. And I'm no different than anybody. I didn't grow up with that courageous mindset, or I didn't grow up with that mindset to see myself in positions that I saw on TV. That just wasn't my environment, right? A lot of us don't grow up in environments, or a lot of us even in the military can't walk into organizations or can't see around us people are. I remember when I was a tech sergeant, even up to the rank of tech sergeant, I never believed. I never believed that I would go past the rank of master sergeant. Not that I couldn't. It's not that I couldn't go past the rank of master sergeant. It's just for some reason I conditioned myself to believe something.
Right.
Um, but are you still there, Ken?
I'm here. I'm here.
But so that question is about conditioning and fear. So I had to stop conditioning my mind to think that this wasn't for me, or I can't be this or anything else. So, get yourself out of that mindset. What do you want to do? And at the end all be all isn't this thing. The end all be all isn't being a CEO. The end all be all is not being a command chief. The end all be all is doing those things that you wake up that you can believe in, that you believe that you can do. And if you want to be a chief, then go be a chief because you believe you can and you can do all the things that are necessary. If you want to be a CEO, go be a CEO because you believe that you can do all the things that are necessary to be a CEO. So what do I see in folks like me that look like me sometimes? Two sides of the coin on that, right? One is we may not have had those role models or we may have not had that conditioning, which led to us being fearful. And the second part is the responsibility of taking people and giving them those opportunities and giving them the information and being that role model when you have been not like, I'm a recipient of a gift.
Right.
I've been given a gift. And the gift was earlier in my career, somebody did come in and give me the information. There's people like Chief Kevin White who sat me down and I had a master's degree as a tech surgeon. And Chief Kevin White was like, what are you going to do with that? And I'm like, I don't know. He's the one who told me to go teach. He said, go over there to that junior college and go fill out an application to teach. I'm like, they're not going to hire me. That's the fear.
Right.
That's the conditioning. I went over there and they hired me. He said, hey, we got an opportunity for you to go to apply to go to the FBI Academy. I'm like, they're not going to select some tech sergeant to go to the FBI Academy. Because the first question I asked was a fear question. Hey, have they ever allowed, a tech sergeant to go before? He said, no. But I'm like, so why should I apply? He's like, because you're good enough. And I got selected and went. So you've got to get past that fear that you're not supposed to be at the table, or maybe that table ain't for you. I don't want to sit at no one's table. I stopped sitting at tables 10 years ago. I want to own the furniture store.
Okay, there we go. I was getting ready to ask that question. So if you don't want to sit at the table, what do you want to? What is it?
I want to own the forest that the furniture stores don't get their trees from. So I don't want to sit at your table. I'm not asking to sit at your table. I don't need permission to sit at your table. I want to make the table. And that's what decisions that I started making probably around the rank of master sergeant. And that was because somebody gave me a gift. And I got to credit Chief Kevin White for that gift. He gave me the gift of you don't sit back and hem haw when you have the qualifications. I'm a tech sergeant with a master's degree, teaching college, and why would I not apply to go to the FBI Academy? Because I felt that table was not for me. Fear.
Man, like I like everything you said. Literally, just one, I'm slapping myself, but two, I agree with that because even with my promotion, I was told to my face, with a markdown and no stratification, I will not get promoted. But it goes back to the conversation we had back in 2017. Well, no, actually before that, 2016 or whenever prior to me deploying. What do I need to do? I literally did everything you told me to do, and I also went above and beyond what you told me to do because I at that point I started tapping into what it is and what it means to be a leader and what the Air Force wanted me to be a leader, but not even about the Air Force. It's about growing and developing myself. And just like you said, it's like I want to be the guy sitting at the table that I'm not supposed to sit there. Actually, I want to create this, this lane or this path to where other people who perceptionally or based off of ideology not supposed to be in the room either, I'm going to find a way to crack that door open so a lot of us can get in so we can start aspiring not true leaders, but other unequivocal or unorthodox leaders to be in that position to lead. Now, to your furniture store, it's funny you say that because I got a very close friend. We were talking about a week ago, and she referred to the table, right? And the thing that she referred to, she talked about designing the table, and the analogy she gave was a person should be, when you're talking to table, a person should be a certain type of wood because of the strength of the wood. Mm-hmm. If a person has glass legs or fragile legs based off the type of wood, they're not the type of person for that position and that job and that opportunity. So she was like, hey, if you're gonna put marble on top of the table, my wood or the wood needs to be a certain type of wood to be able to withstand or be able to hold up marble, not fake marble, but real marble. So it's funny that you gave the analogy about owning a furniture store and not owning a table, but it makes total sense. You got to be able to connect with you, connect with your purpose, connect with your strengths, and embrace your strengths and your purpose to be able to align with, of course, if you're in a corporate structure, align with that corporate structure, but lead and be you and align with that corporate structure's vision, but at the same time, identify yourself so that, you can be the guy or the woman that's owning the furniture store. Because that's me. That's what I want to be. I literally want to be the guy that you come see me for the resources and the things that you need. So,
but there's nothing wrong with that, right? Some people see that as arrogance. Some people see that as you're self-centered, or you see it as you're ambitious and you have goals, right?
Right.
And I tell people, look, I may never own the forest. That's okay. I may never own the forest, but at least I'm setting my goals high enough where I may own the furniture store. But if I just set my goals to get a seat at your table, then where do I have, what does that mean? I'm here. Is that victory? Is it victory because I'm sitting at the table? Is it victory now? Do I have any power, or did I just influence myself? Because we all need people at the table, but it needs to be an after the table. Because if the line is the table, then I'm not creating but one-off opportunities.
I gotta be able to create the seat, move out the way, so somebody else can sit at the seat, and I can go and say, okay, now I'm gonna become the supplier or the person with the resources.
And I see the person as the furniture store can employ the people who sit at the table. The person who owns the forest can create opportunity and franchises for people who have furniture stores. You have to think differently. One person doesn't make a victory. And that's what I used to tell people, and I appreciate, you saying, you gave me hope and all the command chief. Yeah, I was the command chief at Edwards. And I know there's a lot of people that we had those conversations with. But you know what? That wasn't victory for me. It wasn't victory for me until I can move on and move to a position, which I did at Air University, where now I got a larger influence to create a bigger bench of anyone who wants to come to the table.
Right.
At Edwards, my scope was this big to create more seats at the table.
Right.
At Air University, my scope was this big to create seats at the table. Now that I'm on my own, I have unlimited ability to create seats at the table. Because the more success I have, the more seats I open up.
I like that phrase, unlimited. I'm going to give a shout out to my sister because that's the name of her brand, Unlimit Yourself, as far as life-wise. So definitely unlimited resources or being unlimited or having that unlimited scope of reach is the ultimate. To me, that's the ultimate. Not being, and right now, honestly, I feel like as long as I'm in the military, and I'm not saying that I don't like being in the military or I hate the military, but I do feel at this point in my life and my career, I feel like I'm being kind of caged in because I feel like it's time for me to grow.
You're not. You know what? Your biggest influence right now is your story. Your biggest influence is the ability to take a 20-year-old you and they make them understand. The ability to take somebody who's been shaped and molded a certain way for 20 years and to make them think differently, to give them that spark that now they have the light to believe in themselves, untethered from you, is the greatest gift you can give somebody. And that was the gift for me early that just started being a building block. So you take that 20, somebody else got to catch the 24-year-old. Somebody else got to catch the 28-year-old. By the time they get, a little bit in the game, they should have already have a whole foundation that you can build a house on. You know, so this isn't a one-shot thing. So when you say, I heard people tell me, I'm only a master sergeant, I'm only a tech sergeant, I'm only a senior master. What can I do?
Right.
You can do more than I can.
And that is, hey, I'm not arguing it. I
Yeah,
can't argue that.
yeah, because somebody has to create the land, somebody has to level the land. You know, I might not see this person until they get to the point where it's time for them to remodel the home. So what's your goal in this? Your goal is to, man, you should be catching them people to start building foundation. You should be catching those people to teach them how to finance their own land. Because you can't finance your own land, if you can't get your own land, you can't build a house.
We got a lot of
So
work to do.
I'm for real. So we got to scope this correctly.
Yeah.
We talk about this in the wrong terms, and
Right.
to give people opportunities, it's a lifetime game, man.
Yeah.
It ain't catching you at Master Sergeant was, and you said what I told you was to make senior. Absolutely not. What I did is I took a guy that had a foundation that may have sat there for a couple of years before he decided to build some walls, and then he built some walls, and I caught you when it was time for you. Like, I'm moving into this house.
Okay.
I'm ready to move in now. But somebody's already caught you enough. Maybe your house didn't get built as fast as you wanted it to get built.
Right.
But when I caught you, all I did is bought you some furniture, man. That's all. Is tell you, hey, it's time to furnish this house, and you took everything from there. So it's your responsibility to go catch these young folks and start helping them finance for when they're ready to buy some land. That might be your role. Or you may catch the person who's 25 who got the land and just don't know what to do with it.
So I'm looking at these comments right now. That's why I keep looking over to my right. So I don't know if you remember the first Sergeant Washington.
Yeah, the
Senior Master
one.
Sergeant.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he's like dropping like a whole bunch of like comments in the thread, but definitely he is fine. His thread, he's fine the conversation thread up. So I want to give a shout out to him because every time you say something, he's like he's
well,
co-signing everything
I
you
would
say.
tell you, I got a special place in my heart for first sergeants. And, you know, he was my first sergeant president. So Washington, man, and I probably logged in about 200 hours of conversation in my office. And it all was good stuff, right? Real talk. And I'm appreciative. So if he's listening, I'm really appreciative of that relationship. It goes back to why I don't like barriers, right?
Right.
You know, Washington and I, we had maybe a small barrier because I was command chief and he's the first sergeant, but we can talk like men too,
Right.
right?
It was the same. So it's funny you say that because I probably was that. You probably was that 40-year-old. He probably was that 24-year-old, and I probably was that 20-year-old because I spent time in his office and he was laying game to me at the same time. He was probably passing the information or passing the convo or passing the knowledge or passing the vision from you to him to me because he definitely.
But that's what it's about. All of us are at different stages in our life.
Yeah.
What I can provide today may not be the same of what I could have provided 15 years ago, right? We all gotta play our position, play our lane. So I can help. I believe I can help. I can still help the person who still want to buy the land. But should I just be focusing on everybody who want to buy land, or should I be focused on everybody who want to buy a horse? Because I'm in a position now to teach you how to buy a horse, right? So if I can't pass on that with all my energy, then I'm not building what we need to build, right? So I need you. So your power,
Right.
the power of all the tech servers, your power. Don't you tell me you're boxed in? That's what it started with. You're not boxed in, and you're free, bruh. You are free to go create landowners everywhere, or you're free to go create foundations everywhere. You're free to go create structures anywhere. You're an architect right now, man. Your influence is way more powerful than me. I got small touch points with people that are in the military now. My role is when you are ready to come out here, or when you would think you 2 to 3 years ready to come out here, or are you 5 years ready to come out here, or 10 years ready to come out here. Talk to me because I'm out here trying to build forests now. I'm out here trying to buy land. I'm trying to buy, half of mountains. So I don't really focus on building foundations anymore. But I can help you if you need me.
Okay.
But information to you in this arena now. And we need everybody to understand that, because now I'm looking up to somebody who now owns Force, that's been out here for a few years. That's who I'm going to. I'm not going to him asking him to help me, pour some concrete. My mentor now is somebody who's been out here for a few years. If you want to put an analogy behind it, he don't own a forest. He own a country. So I'm looking at me and I'm looking up and I'm going, well, hell, I want to own a country too.
Right.
Give me the information. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna be serious. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna be responsible. And hopefully one day I'm blessed to own the country. And then I can go back and say, Ken, you ready? DeJuan Washington, you ready? Hey, when you guys get ready to buy this little small island before you get your country, this is how you do it. We got to know our positions, and when we get to that position in life, that we have the information, or we have the knowledge, or we have the desire, or we have the resources, you bring people to that level.
Right. And honestly, like, to be honest with you, I was talking to my guy, man. Shout out to Chris Clark. I was talking to him earlier today. He's also a law planner in the Air Force, and probably over the last 5 months with my career, I've been angry with not the Air Force, but just decisions of people in the Air Force, right? But at the same time, I came to realization that my next assignment is actually the assignment that I really wanted. I wanted that assignment or that task through a special duty, but I didn't get it. But I can literally say, and I'm not bragging, because I feel like this is an accomplishment, because this is something I didn't get, but I learned how to go get it. I've assisted 5 people with getting stratifications as master sergeants, something I didn't get. But because I went and did the research and I sat back and I said, hey, I don't care who you are, color, creed, sex, gender, I don't care what it is. Come sit down with me. If you're really serious about, what you're trying to do, the direction you're trying to go, I got a couple of questions to ask. And if you answer these questions in the right manner, then, I support you and I support your vision and support your mission. And it's literally what you said. I did not withhold information. And I was not, there was no prejudice in me holding with that information. It was, hey, this is information I didn't get. This is information that you probably don't have that's out there, but it's probably not being presented in the manner that you need to connect with it. So I can definitely totally agree with the binding force from a military standpoint and from a continued leadership standpoint in the military. So when I get ready to make that move to buy me a force, trust and believe, I'm gonna be hitting that inbox when I'm ready. I'm not gonna waste your time.
No, but the thing and the thing is, I'll leave you with this, and we have to be comfortable with, if we don't get to the place that we think that we're going, we're comfortable with helping someone get past us.
Yes, exactly.
That's why I say, I want you to come up to my level so you can pass me. Because guess what? I might bring 5 people to my level, and I might not get past any of these 5 people. But if they can get to where they need to go, then that's only going to help me.
Yes.
They can now if they get to owning the country before me, then I'm gonna get some information from you. So obviously you got some breakthrough that I didn't.
Yeah, and this could go for like another hour and a half, But I definitely, one phrase that comes to mind, and I know we got to check out of here. I got one question before we leave. I got to check out of here. But one phrase that comes to mind is, I've always been a person where I want to see the student become better than the teacher.
Absolutely.
That's always been the thing for me. So to close out of this conversation, because I know you got a busy schedule. Last question, and then we're gonna check out of here. But before we check out of here, I want everybody to know where to meet, where to follow you, and how to get in contact with you, and as well as I'm gonna get with Shadana to make sure she passes me her information so that I can make sure I post it on all of my platforms.
Okay.
Last question: if you ran into an individual that's at their crossroad in pursuing their dreams, and they're at that point to where they're deciding that they feel like it's not for them and they want to quit, what would you tell them? Besides saying, don't give up.
I would ask them, what's the energy that makes you want to quit? I want to find out where you at. You know, because everybody's threshold of, I won't call it pain, everybody's threshold of is different. For me, you're gonna have to run me over in the middle of the street for me to quit. You're gonna have to kill me, right? But not everybody has that threshold. So I want to know what your threshold for pain is first. So what I would tell, because I want to, you can't go into everybody as they're the same person. You can't go, well, can you just suck it up and keep going? You might not even know how to get past the next step because you haven't been trained.
Right.
So it's not about what I would say to them. It's about what I would invest in them.
Right.
Because there's a difference. Because it's easy to say, hey, man, when you fail 2 times, get up and keep going. That's easy to say for some people. Some people have a built-in mechanism that they're just going to get up and go. Some people are going to walk away. Some people are going to smell the smoke and they ain't ever going to go that way toward the fire. It depends on the person. So people who are at that crossroads, I want to have a conversation first. And I want to show you what success looks like. And I want to get on the other side of this fear or this barrier that you have. But the only way I can do that is I got to know your threshold. I got to know what you're willing to do, and what you will, and maybe what you have never done because you don't know what it feels like.
Right.
Then we can walk through that. Because I don't lie to people. People come to me and say, like I told you, hey, I want to be this. All right, cool. I ain't telling you can't. I'm telling you this is what you got to do.
Right.
And it's going to be hard, and it's going to be long nights, and it's going to be dirty, and it's going to be rewarding, and it's going to be everything under the sun. If you want it, this is what you have to do. And I'll be there to help you out, but this is what you have to do. So people at their crossroads, they got to find people, number one, who are going to be honest with them. Number two, they got to be willing to look themselves in the mirror and not lie to themselves. What are you willing to do, and what are you willing to not do?
And that's worth to live by. And I'm have to make sure I go back and have a couple of moments of self-reflection for myself too, because I didn't even think about that either. What my threshold, what my pain threshold was, I literally didn't think about that. And like I tell everybody that I interview, every time I have a conversation, these conversations are not only for me, they're for everybody else, but definitely there for me because I go back and listen to these conversations and take notes and apply those to my strategic map for my next 2 to 3 years post-military. Because I have a mission, vision, and brand that I'm getting ready to execute here. And definitely, I'm coming up on my end of this chapter here in Tampa. And one of the things is a big shout out to my big sister, man. She has been here with me every step of the way with my health journey and just my living me execute my dreams. And I definitely connect you with her on with the things she's doing because you guys can probably partner. But definitely, this has been this interview has probably been the best interview to close out my chapter here in Florida. But I've learned a lot, and closing this out, I'm definitely going to have a moment of self-reflection as far as what my ask myself what my pain tolerance is, and also how can I buy a forest so I can eventually buy a country. So, if anybody wants to find you, as far as first of all, if anybody wants to know what services you provide outside of what's in the bio, and if they want to get in contact with you, how can they do that?
You can contact us at Courageous, common spelling, Courageous Lead, LEAD 3 on all social media, Twitter, Facebook, at Courageous Lead 3, and Todd Simmons at courageouslead.com. First name, last name, common spelling at courageouslead.com, at Courageous Lead 3, all social media. So give us a call, give us a shout out, whatever. Hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. No, it's been good, man. I appreciate this opportunity to talk to you. I'm not gonna lie, man. I don't do a lot of these. I don't do a lot of these anymore. And not because I just don't, but just, man, time.
Right.
I'm here. I mean, time is, but when, it goes back to, I can't be the person who say, I'm going to bring you up to this and don't do my part.
Right.
So another guy last week who wanted to, has another podcast, old troop of mine. You guys are the only 2 podcasts I've done in a long time. And that's because I have connections with you guys. And I see you're trying to do something positive. I see you're trying to go out there and stretch yourself. This is your pain tolerance. You're up in that. You're trying to go out there and make yourself uncomfortable. So I'm willing to lend anything that I can do and resources that I have to help you be successful in this.
Well, I appreciate it, and right now I'm definitely uncomfortable because I'm learning technology that I didn't learn before.
No, I know it's pretty funny watching you for 15 minutes.
So, and I want to send a shout out to my homegirl, Shadonna McFall, aka Mo. Everybody in the Air Force knows her. We've been rocking since 2009. I love her to death. That's my sister. When I get out the military, we are going to take over the world. Actually, we're going to buy a country in about 2 years. We're working on the force right now. So, and Todd Simmons, aka Chief, I really appreciate you. Appreciate your time for being available. I'm not going to hold you up, but definitely I'm going to post and promote everything that you do. When you're moving, how you're moving, and why you're moving, so that people can connect to what you're doing. And again, the purpose of this conversation, the purpose of this podcast, is to inspire people to tap into their dreams and connect with their untapped potential through dope conversations. So you guys have a great evening. Todd, have a great night. Peace out.
All right. Peace, man.
Right.
See you.
You gotta know, you oughta know, baby. This boy thinks I lay you without the filter, cause I like the real you. I lay you without the filter, cause I like the real you, baby. Yeah. No makeup on, used to fly. You gon' always get my lights. I lay you without the filter, I like the real you, baby. I've been scrolling through your feed all day to see what you just posted. Pretty body on fleek, but you act like you don't even know it. And I know that you've been through a couple of things. Let me boost your self-esteem, yeah. Ooh, so don't even try. Girl, you looking like the entree and the two. On the side with the love in my new whip. Come and take a trip. I lay you without the filter, cause I like the real you. I lay you without the filter, cause I like the real you, baby. Yeah. No makeup on, used to fly. You gon' always get my lights. I lay you without a filter, I like the real you, baby. So I'm all yours if you want me. You seem unsure, baby, don't be. All that drill you so see. Oh, baby. And they take a picture. That's my Beyonce, baby, flawless with no filter. She make them tip her, but she don't tolerate disrespect, she a quick first. She a dime, don't got a man, have a cup if you can. She's fine with a plan, no time to be playing. No, it won't be easy for her to take them out. If I make her flop, then I know she'll cut me out. Would you mind if I make some plans? Girl, I can't figure this out. I wanna be a man.